I'm contacted on a pretty regular basis by people who are curious to know how I do what I do. Just based on what they see online, it seems like I'm living pretty carefree. I just want to give you all some insight into how I'm able to do that, because yoga is not an inexpensive means to fitness. That I have 3 children and I'm also married. So I'm often contacted by people who are saying, "Hey, I'm single and I have children. I work full time. I don't have the time to really pursue things that nurture me spiritually the way that I would like to, because I have this extra burden or this stress of having to work and having to take care of my family as a single mother." And they really feel defeated, like this is not an option for them because they are single. Even the ones who aren't single may not have the resources or the time even to invest in something as expensive as yoga as a primary means of fitness. And also all the stereotypes that come along with people we perceive as living just kind of creatively and living entrepreneurs, or people living off of their craft or living off of their artistic abilities. It doesn't feel like it's accessible. So often I'm contacted by people who are concerned about that, because they want to make changes in their lives. They want to live in their truth. They want to live authentically. They want to have, this life where they're mostly relaxing and having a good time, and they just don't feel like that is available to them. So I wanted to talk to you all today about how I've managed to achieve what I'm doing, and just give you some tips. Reassure everyone who follows me that this is available to you. This is accessible to you as well. So a little bit of background about myself. My husband works full time and I don't. And a lot of people think that, well, he must be taking care of you. That's why you've been able to do what you're doing. And it's partially true. I am pretty much taken care of by my husband, but you have to understand that a year ago I made a decision to quit my job, and we went down to one income. And it was not during an ideal time in our lives. My husband had recently lost his job and he had just started back working. So the resources were low. We had no savings. We didn't really have anything to live off of. We were just recovering from a really difficult, really what my family was having was like an economic crisis. And I quit my job. So it's not like during the time that I quit my job, things were great and things were comfortable. Things were extremely uncomfortable. And although I was never the primary breadwinner, my income was significant in helping to supplement my husband's and to do things for our children. Our children are in sports, they have class trips, they have just tons of stuff going on in their lives that we have to help take care of. I have a daughter who's in college, and she's about an hour and a half away. I'm going up there on a pretty regular basis. Now, granted, she has a scholarship, but she still needs support and help here and there. So, this is one person who's supporting 5 people. So our resources were really stretched. However, I quit my job because I knew in my spirit that it was something that I had to do in order to really find my purpose and to find happiness, because I was incredibly miserable, so unhappy. I had started off as a social worker back in Chicago. I worked as a social worker, and then me and my family, we moved to Atlanta, and I did some social work, and I also worked as a psychotherapist. Hated all of that and ended up dropping it all to be in food service. I was a cocktail server, and then I was a bartender. And then I went on to management. I was a manager at the Fox Theater here in Atlanta, and that was my last job. So I ended up leaving my job because the hours were really long. I was always tired. The pay wasn't very good. I just wasn't present and available to my family, to my husband, or to my children, and it was something that was putting a strain on my marriage. And it was really negatively impacting my children because I really couldn't be there for them at the level that I feel is appropriate for a woman to be for her children. I made those changes, I made those sacrifices, not because everything was great, not because we're rich, not because I had like this nest egg stored where I could just walk away from everything and we could still be comfortable. No, we were extremely uncomfortable, and things continued to be, kind of tough here and there from time to time. So I made the decision to leave my job in order to pursue creatively. I wanted to help people, I wanted to talk to people, I wanted to motivate people, do yoga on a regular basis. So I had done core yoga about a year ago, and I really enjoyed it. But the reason that I didn't join that studio was because of the expense of it. Core yoga is $150 a month, and that's for unlimited yoga sessions. Or they have packages where you can pay like $25 per class, but at the end of the day, it definitely was going to be well over $100 if I were to work out on a regular basis. One program that Core Yoga has that a lot of people don't know about is that they offer like a work in exchange for a discounted membership. So I went ahead and I applied for that, and got a call back. And so the way that the program works is that so the membership is $150, right? You come in and you work an hour and a half a week, and they take off $100 from your membership at the studio. That for me was in line with my time. I had enough time to commit to an hour and a half a week. Also, I felt like it would be a great way to make sure that I made it into yoga at least one day, because I had to come in order to work. But it just saved me a significant amount of money. But then I also wanted to maintain my gym membership. Every now and then I might want to go in and do cardio, or me and my husband might have a night where we just want to go hit the gym together. So I knew it was important for me to maintain my gym membership, which is about $30 a month. I take supplements. I have anemia. So in order to keep up in yoga classes, or in order to even be able to go to the gym at all, I have to make sure that I'm taking about 5 supplements a day. And that costs me roughly $40 to $50 a month. It adds up. Now, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, that's not tons of money to look your best, to feel your best, to not have medical bills because you're sick all the time. I mean, it's definitely worth it. So, I mentioned to you all earlier that I used to be a social worker. So I have a degree. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology. I'm sure it's in other states as well, but I don't know about other states. I know about Georgia. But in the state of Georgia, you can be a substitute with a bachelor's degree. And you just sign up for it. And as long as you pass the background check, are put in the system as a substitute teacher, and you come in and you get paid. You come in and you get paid about $100 a day, and you have complete control over your schedule. I decided that I would kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so I substitute teach at my children's school. So I see them all day. They're at a middle school, so it works out perfectly. Because my children went to the school, I built relationships with the teachers there, and they have my personal number, and they text me whenever they need coverage. So if I have something to do, like if I have a podcast interview, or I have a class that I have to take, or if I have just errands to run, I don't have to come into work. And it's not something that I am penalized for. However, if I have something extra that comes up, let's say I want to get me some nice yoga gear from Lululemon or something like that, then I can say, hey, I can work pretty much every day for the next 2 weeks, and that gives us an extra $1,000. It helps to support me living a healthy lifestyle, but it also gives me a little bit of extra money to help out around the house here and there, so that the burden isn't totally on my husband. So my whole point is, it's totally possible, but you have to be creative. If you have made up in your mind that you want to do something and it's really important, and you're feeling pulled spiritually to do it, if you're considering the limitations, right? If you're thinking mostly about the limitations, about the financial limitations and the time limitations, it's going to limit your ability to come up with creative solutions. I am not some like rich kept woman. I had to make sacrifices in order to get to live the lifestyle that was really important to me. But by taking time and kind of stepping away from work that I felt like was not serving me spiritually or intellectually, by taking a break from that and just making sacrifices financially, just doing my own hair. I used to buy MAC. I don't buy MAC anymore. I mostly get Maybelline products, very inexpensive makeup. I don't spend a lot of money on clothes. I go on Fashion Nova. I do all sorts of things in order to monitor my spending so that I can do the things that I really want to do. I considered the limitations, but I creatively came up with solutions, and that's how I was able to do what I'm doing now, which is working on my own schedule as a substitute teacher to be available and accessible to my children. This allowed me to have a level of involvement in their lives that was important to me without feeling like I'm not honoring my spirit as an individual. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, but in order for me to be great at those two assignments, I have to take care of myself. And that's how I did it. Joining a yoga studio that I technically could not afford, trading work for a discounted membership, I understood in order to live my life in a way that I was comfortable, I had to figure out creative ways to make that happen. So for all of you who are contacting me saying that you're not able to do what I'm doing, or you don't have the time, or you don't have the energy, or you don't have the resources, you may not be able to do what I'm doing, but if you're creative, you can figure out a way to do exactly what you want to do. You may have to make sacrifices in this area or that, but it just is a matter of prioritizing what's important to you. I identified what was important to me, and I just went after it. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's tough, but I'm happy. And that's what matters to me the most. I'm happy, I'm a better mother, I'm a better wife, I'm just a better person overall. So